Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
It's a brew day. It's been a while. It's been probably a month since I've done one. I did the mead recently, but this is an actual brew day. I'm using grains and hops, and I'm excited. I am doing a dark mild. It's a style that I do enjoy. I do like the lighter ABV beers, and this one clocks in at around 3.5%, 4%, somewhere in that range. The starting gravity, you're looking at about 1035, so it's definitely not very high in alcohol. It's essentially like a session porter, if you will. The history of it's interesting, though. They used to call a mild ale beer that wasn't aged, and they would have their stock ales that were aged, and things like that. And often for a porter, what they would do way back then is they would blend them. And you would have what's called like your three threads, and it would be like your stock ale that was aged and your one that wasn't aged, and one that was aged even longer, and then kind of combine them. This is essentially like your mild ale. Just you brew it, you get it out to the public. Somewhere around the second half of the 18th century, the mild ale kind of dropped out, while actually the stout and porter really dropped out because IPAs started dominating. So they had to come up with another name for a brown non-porter beer, and that was a mild ale. Before that, they did not call it mild ale. It was just like, here's our non-aged beer. They actually started to call it a mild ale when they need to designate this beer to a style. So the gravities of beers did change definitely in that region. However, the mild ale still was being produced up until the 1990s, but in very small quantities. And it was still a little higher on the gravity, in ABV, I should say. And I think they're looking at closer to like 6%, somewhere around there. And then around the early 2000s, a brewery called Rudgate made one around 4.4%. And then it started to shift a little bit then even more. And then now it's down to like the styles, like I said, around 4%, 3.5, 3.7, somewhere in that range. So the ABV definitely has gone down. The specs for this are interesting. You're looking at 1030 to 1037, 1040 maybe the max to starting gravity. And I'm going to go for 1035 on mine. You're looking at finishing around 1008. So somewhere around there, it goes as low as 1004. I'm using a high flocculating yeast, which means it'll probably drop out quicker, which will mean the least sweetness, which means it probably won't dry out as much. I'm looking at around 20 IBU, somewhere in that range, 22 SRM, and the ABV is going to be around 3%, somewhere in that range. I'm going to try and get below 1010 if I can, but if I can't, then it's going to be at 3%. The issue that you might run into with these styles is the body won't be as big as it can be because it's such a small beer. It could thin out easily, especially if the gravity drops down. To combat this, you add a fair amount of crystal malt. And crystal malt can add some sweetness, potentially a little bit of body as well. And I'm using 26% of crystal 80. And I'm using Maris Otter, a little more biscuitier as my base malt. I'm looking at about 3% of chocolate malt. Another thing you can do to boost body is mash a little higher. I'm going to target 156, 158, somewhere in that range. 156 though ideally. I want more the alpha amylase conversions, which are cleaving on different sort of lengths. So you're going to get a little more dextrins essentially, which means I won't attenuate down as much, which means I leave with a little bit more sweetness. I will link the recipe in the description as usual. Let's just get this brew day started.
Listen.
Doing something kind of weird. I'm going to mash into this. I am doing that because it's just not that much. I'm a half a gallon of water. And to mash my 5-gallon mash tun, it just won't work. I just took the dead ton space out in the equation. Hopefully I got my mash temp. This would be a great time to do a brew in a bag. But I've never done one. Don't tell anybody though. So I'm just going to mash into this 2-gallon pot here. We're going to actually put this in a hot water bath to retain the heat for the entire duration of the mash. I'm just hoping to hit my temperatures here. I'm low. I'm at 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Target 156. I know that might happen. So I'm going to put this in the the water bath, and heat it up to the correct mash temp. I have the pot here with the mash in it, and then water surrounding it in a pot with a false bottom on it so it won't scorch. Once it gets to 156 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm just going to maintain and just keep smashing at 156 degrees Fahrenheit. It's kind of a good way to do it. I hope it works out. And then I'm going to transfer it in the mash, just pour it directly into my 5-gallon igloo cooler, which does have a false bottom on it. From there, I will do my regular sparge. I'm not worried about hot saturation. I never will be. I'm going to pour it right in, and it's going to still turn out great. Got my water report. For this batch, I dialed it all in. I'm using Easy Calculator. I thought it was a Brewing water program. That was like a one-page thing. I was corrected, and that is true. It is not Brewing water. But I do like this Easy Water one-sheet calculator. It's fantastic. So I got a Ward Labs water report, and it's not from me. It's from Brewyard, but they're down the street from me, and it has to be the same, if not very, very similar. Testing it out today. My sulfates, I thought, were 257. According to their lab report, it's only at 66 ppm. That's drastically lower. So I'm going to go off that for a little bit until I send my own report in. I have a feeling it'll be very similar, if not identical, because like I said, they're down the street. So I entered all my numbers in here. I'm going to throw in maybe 0.2 ounces of lactic acid. That's if I need it. It's in there. But with 0.2 ounces of lactic acid, my pH should be about 5.3. I'm not using acid malt this time because dark malt can lower your pH and have a fair amount of crystal in here. Although it's not necessarily the dark roasted malt, but 26% is a fair amount. And then 3% of my chocolate malt, I'm doing it in the mash. All of that. So that should lower my pH. Usually my sulfate to chloride ratio is 1 to 3. 1 chloride, 3 to sulfate. This time it's reversed. My chloride here is going to be 138 target, and my sulfates are 57. It's time to take a pH reading. Let's see where I'm at. There's nothing better than hitting your targets right off the bat. pH is at 5.3. That is exactly what I was going for. It's incredible. Well, 5.27 to be exact, but... All right, gonna hot side aerate the F out of this right now. Oh, it's hot. It's actually a little warm. It's actually hot to hold. Oh, yeah. So it just looks to confirm what my boil gravity is supposed to be, and it's supposed to be at 1013. That is dangerously low before you get into like tannin extraction, and it could be a problem. Yep, just took a gravity reading. Just now it's at 1.005. I'm stopping it. Only a little bit got in there. I do not want astringency on this. So I'll take another gravity reading on this. I'm probably going to be somewhere around 10, 19, 18. I will top off a little water. It's not a big deal. And that should get me to my target of 1013. 1017. Still a little high. What I'm going to do is take a gravity reading about a half an hour in and see where I'm at. And then if it looks like I'm going to be over, I'll throw some water in it. My 1023, and I have about 20 minutes left in the boil, something around there. I'm on target. I did make a mistake earlier. I said that my pre-boil target was 1013. That's incorrect. That was my post-fermentation reading. My pre-boil reading is supposed to be 1018. So I was right there, got what I wanted in the end, and we're at. $10.27. That's not 10:35. I don't know. I actually have no answers. I hit my pre-boil. My boil-off rate, I got dialed in. This is at 0.75 gallons. That was my target ending. When I reached the program when I was about halfway in, and I was at around 10:20, whatever I said. I was on target, I thought. Worst case scenario, maybe like 1031 or 2. 1027 is terrible. That's not what I was going for. That's the first time I've ever hit my pre-boil target volume and my pre-boil gravity and got this low. You know what I'm going to do, because it's bothering me so freaking much, is I'm going to actually heat some DME up. I'm going to do a very small amount of it and put it in here because I really want this to be higher than 1027. So I'm going to do that in a microwave. I don't care that it's in the microwave. And I'm going to cool it down to pitching temp and then throw it in here because I need to get this right. I'm going to cool it down. I'm just going to dump it in. Alright, well, that got me to 1031. Weird. Still don't understand that. But whatever, you know, it's going to be a super session beer. I'm going to pitch hardly any yeast into this. I'm not going to do any oxygen shot. I'm just going to swirl it here for a second. And yeah, let's pitch the yeast now. You know, sometimes it just happens. You know, you have all your targets and parameters set, and sometimes it just doesn't go according to plan. It's one of those brew days. So that was like not even a quarter of the packet, probably like an eighth of the packet. Gravity's so low, and this is such a small amount, that will be plenty. And I'm going to save this for a future batch. So yeah, that's it. Got close enough, I guess. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos, and get out there and just make perfect beer all the time.